Hi, how are you? My name is Houston and welcome back to another video. A couple small housekeeping things here. One, I did it. I was told by my coach to maybe go for a 1:35 and a half marathon. If you're unfamiliar with running, hour, 35 minutes. But my real goal throughout this whole entire build has always been to run a sub 1:30 because that is the pace that I need to run a full marathon at in order to run a sub 3 marathon. And I did it. I ran a 1:29:52 and I got one of my best race photos out of it. So yeah, I would say that that race was an incredible success. My injury wasn't as bad as maybe I was expecting it to be, and the soreness is still a little bit there in certain areas. But yeah, I feel really, really good about the future of my athletic journey. Now, the second thing is that there was a comment on my last video, which kind of got picked up by the algorithm, and some person was like, hey man, really great talk about philosophy and life coaching, etc. But honestly, I thought you were going to talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows. He's like, I kind of want my 20 minutes back. I know that the thumbnail and the title, maybe, maybe they're bait sometimes. But if you watch the whole 20 minutes, I mean, thank you. I appreciate it. I would rather bait somebody into giving them good advice than bait them into, I don't know, like an ad read or really something that is just pure brain rot. But because of that, I was thinking I should probably make a video just talking about AC Shadows. So here we are. Let's do it. Okay, here we are on Assassin's Creed Shadows. I am finally playing as Yasuke, and I think that that is probably one of the best things about this game. Nothing is stopping you from playing this game as Naoe pretty much the whole entire time, at least as far as I can tell. And her gameplay is very much in line with what a lot of us are used to with these games. So that's really cool. If you want to creep around in the shadows, if you want to only do assassinations and you don't really want to do a ton of like actual combat, then again, you can just play as Naoe like the whole time. She's super agile. She blends in with the dark. She's got some really sick outfits, especially ones that nod to the older games. But you can also play as this guy right here, Yasuke. And let me tell you, dude, you feel like a tank when you play as him. It's a little bit hard to tell here, but look how big I am. It's like a giant got transported into a different world. Playing as Yasuke in this game makes you feel like Kratos. And yeah, you're a little slower, but you make up with an immense amount of power. As much as I love the traditional Assassin's Creed gameplay with all the stealth, like, dude, sometimes you literally want to just run through gates, which you can do. The dynamic weather is really nice in this game too. Like, all of a sudden this storm will break and then it'll be like a beautiful cloudy sky with like some, like some god rays and stuff like that. While I do enjoy the gameplay for the most part, I did mention in my last video that it's going to be hard for me to compare any game to Ghost of Tsushima just because that's such a good game, man. And again, somebody in the comments of my last video said, oh, well, it's not as good as Ghost of Tsushima. I'm not saying that. It's a different game. It's made by different developers, a different vision. Maybe things aren't always meant to be duplicates of other things. And that's fine because you don't have to compare everything one to one. Things can just exist alone in a vacuum, or rather, you can enjoy them alone in a vacuum. You don't have to put yourself through the trials of finding out what's really the best, like what is actually number one. You can just play a game and be like, wow, that was fun, which is, I think, lost a lot of the time with games these days. See, like right here, dude, I'm not gonna go into this fort and try and play it all stealthily because Yasuke's kind of clumsy anyway. I'm just trying to kick this guy off the edge because it's funny. There's this really great engraving that you can put on, I think it's armor, and it allows you to parry even the unparryable or like the red attacks, and highly recommend that. Whatever you're going to do as Yasuke, or you might be able to use it as Naoe as well, but whatever you're going to do, you should definitely get that perk. And as much as I'm enjoying the combat in this game, I think the map is just a little too big. Odyssey suffered from the same issue. One of my buddies and I were talking about this last night, actually, and we are saying that in the older games, it was so different to run through a city because you'd be constantly like running across building tops, and you'd be in these narrow streets, and you'd have all these crowds everywhere. And you just don't see that as much with these games anymore. There are definitely crowded areas, but there's something different about... So I'm in a fort right here, right? And yeah, I can climb all over these buildings. I can get to the sync point, yada, yada, yada. I also have to traverse all this forest land at some point. Holy shit, Sakamoto days. And to that, like, I understand why people don't like the route that these games have taken, because some people just want Florence, Italy. They just want Venice, and they just want to go all around there. They want to find Leonardo da Vinci. They want to find people of history, and they want to just run around the city and do what's called social stealth. So like, you know, let's say you're walking in a crowd, pop out of the crowd, hit and blade somebody, pop back in the crowd. Stuff like that is really cool, and I think that's sort of the DNA of this series. And I can understand why people wouldn't want to play something like this, because it's very far gone from what those original games were, at least most of the time. They've become RPGs, and that's not a new idea, but it's just worth realizing that you're not really playing an Assassin's Creed game of old anymore. And look, dude, I'm not even gonna really go over all of the social issues that have come up with this game. Like, I don't care about the quote unquote woke bullshit or any of that. I mean, because again, like I said in my last video, man, those people are just losers. Like, they are not worth engaging with. Every day, every week, it's more bullshit. It's just a different thing to be mad at. So if you let stuff like that dictate whether you're going to enjoy a game or not, I don't know what to say to you. That was a nice little detail. He just flew into the haystack. I think one of the best parts about this game is that you can choose to play as Yasuke or Naoe, because in the other games, like let's say Odyssey again, you can play as two different characters, yeah, but they're kind of the same gameplay wise, and I think that's just sort of like a gender choice at the end of the day. It's like choosing your gender in Dark Souls. It's nice if you just want to be like a Kratos like god and smash through everyone, but it's also cool if you just want to sneak around. And I hate to belabor that point too much, but that really is like the main point of a game like this, is that, like, bro, you can choose how you want to play. Like, you literally choose the buttons you press. When it comes down to it, I'm actually totally down to hear why somebody wouldn't like to play it, or like why do you not enjoy the game? Because I'm not trying to get into the business of reactionary content where somebody's just like, oh, well, that's bad. Well, why is it bad? It's just shitty. It's dog shit. I mean, well, what the fuck does that even mean? I mean, I can answer that. It doesn't fucking mean anything. Even though the map is really big in this game, the environments are pretty nice. I've been spending just an ungodly amount of time in photo mode, as I normally do with games like this. If a game's got a photo mode, I'm in. I'm also not sure if they just added this, but there's a change season button over on the right there. You can't really see it because of my camera, because the game can change seasons, and obviously like the leaves get affected and all that. So the environments change a lot visually, alongside the weather, like I mentioned earlier. It's a beautiful game. I just think it's just a little bit too big. There's a big difference between a game like this being large and a game like Elden Ring being large. And maybe this is just the FromSoft fanboy in me, but when I explore some obscure corner of a FromSoft map, I know that there's a pretty big chance that I'm going to get rewarded for it. Whereas if I explore an obscure corner in this game or games like this, I just don't think that I'm going to get anything out of it, or the reward's just going to be shit. And when you create a massive map, I feel like that's a pretty important component. Another thing I really like is how you can like choose to use all these different kinds of weapons. So with Yasuke, you got obviously the katana and the naginata, which I've been using, but you also have a bow, you have a teppo or gun, And then you have like a giant club too. I killed an enemy with it earlier, and I have yet to find one of those clubs, but yeah, it's literally just a club. And then as Naue, you have the katana, of course. Then you have the tanto and the kusarigama, which is like the sickle and the chain. Definitely one of the cooler weapons in history. That and the naginata. I've always loved naginatas. I think they're just really cool. Like, hey, let's put a giant sword on top of this stick. I was trying to use the bow a little bit earlier, but I don't know. It's not as great as I thought it would be, but maybe I just don't have the right one. Obviously, you can get all kinds of drip, which is always nice. You could see that I'm opting for the Ronin look at this point. I feel like if you're on the fence about this game, you should probably just wait for it to go on sale. They go on sale all the time. I mean, this one probably won't, soon, but if you're wondering what you might think of this game and you've never played one of the newer Assassin's Creeds, buy Odyssey for like $10. Buy Origins or try Valhalla. Like, pick your era. Pick whatever point in history you want to explore in. If you really, really love Japan and this is the one that you want to play, then, I don't know, try one of those other ones. Like I said, for like $5. Then if you like that gameplay loop, you're probably going to get something similar with this one. So, if you're going to play those games, you like the gameplay loop, and then you love Japan, then you're probably going to love this game. But there's just so much hating for no reason. Like, if you're going to be a hater, come on, man. You got to back it up. Everything's so irony poisoned now that people love to just hate things for no reason, and then we let them off the hook too, which is really shitty. We're like, yeah, they're just being a hater. Like, no, man, you need to give me some fucking reasons. And obviously people don't owe you explanations for everything, but it brings more engagement to the conversation. It brings more liveliness to the conversation, or whatever the hell you're talking about. If all we ever spoke in were absolutes, then how could we ever hope to figure anything out? Oh, that's bad. Yeah, well, I don't agree with you. All right, conversation's over. Oh, man, ask why. You know what new game is on my radar? And this is the only reason, or one of the only reasons why I'm mad this game is so big. But First Berserker Kazan, really, really want to play that. But I don't want to be that guy from my past who never finished games. I've been on a roll the past like 2 years or so, just finishing games left and right, especially big commitment games like the Yakuza games. And this is just another one that feels like quite a big commitment. So again, that's another thing to consider if you're thinking about getting this, where be ready to pour dozens and dozens of hours into it, because it's going to be quite the trek. There's so much to a game like this that it's really hard to distill it all down into a small YouTube video. Again, the main points are: the combat is varied depending on the character you play. The environments look fantastic. The screenshots that I've seen on the PS5 quality version, especially PS5 Pro, look amazing. I'm on PC with a 3080 and the game still looks great to me. There's a whole base building type thing that you can do in this game too. Like, you can find a bunch of parts, you can build your base out like kind of like an Animal Crossing island with you can have paths, you can have certain buildings in certain places. Obviously not as complicated as Animal Crossing, but still, that's just what it reminds me of. It's quite a lot. And to me, like, I don't care about that base building stuff. It's a little bit overwhelming. Like, let me just make the forge to be able to upgrade my weapons, and then maybe a couple of other things that help with gameplay that are just like quality of life things. I don't care about the aesthetics or anything like that, but maybe you do, and that's cool. It's not for me. So do I think that this is the greatest Assassin's Creed, the greatest RPG ever made? No, not by a long shot, but I'm having fun, and that's what matters. So when you're considering a game and what you think of it when you're playing it or before you get it, just think to yourself, damn, am I gonna have fun? 'Cause that's what video games are about, right? Don't get all wrapped up in the opinion of some YouTuber or some streamer who's trying to get you to hate something because of some weird agenda, or better yet, some perceived agenda that they believe is real because they're just delusional. As always, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.